This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
This is something I'm not sure that we've ever really so poignantly discussed.
That's right.
But it's a big question that a lot of people have when it comes to the debt we carry, particularly as we transition out of the working world and into retirement, because there's a tax play on our mortgage savings, or on our mortgage, and the debt we carry there. There's all different kinds of debts. People, you're a business owner, you understand the idea of how loans and things work in that space in a way that I do not. So I want to dive into that a little bit further. J.L. Collins is a financial author, and he is not a fan of debt. He feels that it interferes with an opportunity to build wealth for retirement. However, he tells Morningstar that there is an instance in which he would pause around the debt conversation. Here's what J.L. Collins says.
A good example of that is, suppose you have a mortgage from a few years ago that's 2, 3, even 4%. Well, in that case, I'd say, okay, if you're carrying debt that's less than 4% interest, maybe it's not such a bad idea to keep that debt and invest the excess money instead. If you're somewhere between 4 and, in my mind, maybe 6%, anything above 6%, absolutely, job one, blow off the debt before you do anything else.
So what are your thoughts about what he says here, and how do you help folks that you work with, maybe 5 to 10 years for retirement or just enter into retirement, decide whether or not they should eliminate the debt that they have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've now kind of like zoomed in to one of our first or second meetings.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this is a part of a conversation that I have with everybody when we're going through their data form, we're collecting information. I'm taking a look at all of, your assets, your expenses, things like that. But then there's a debt section where I say, okay, list it all out, all your debts, everything you have, the house, whatever. And so inevitably, right, everybody's different. There could be times where someone's debt-free and I'm like, debt-free? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, wow,
right. Great
job. I commend people on that. That is amazing. And they talk to me about how amazing it feels, how great it feels. I know that I own my house if things go sideways, and I own my cars, and I don't owe anybody anything, right? So that's wonderful. On the opposite end of that, right, I've had people come in and there's a bunch. There's a lot of debt there, right? And so what I try to do with every situation, let's talk about how if you're not yet retired, if we've got maybe 5 years before retirement, if you pick up the phone, come in, I do have people that say, hey, we're talking 5 years from now. That's great. That gives us time to really, and I tell people, I want you to start getting really mad at this debt, okay? Because the optimal scenario is where you hit that retirement tape, the finish line, when you're getting debt free, right? Because it's just so much easier to do it, right? It's really hard to mess the plan up when you don't owe anybody anything, right? Because your expenses come way down, right? What you need each month. So that's the ideal scenario. Okay. Now, so but there's always going to be some leeway in there of what we try to do. So all consumer debt, let's try to get that paid off. For example, let me tell you about some clients that live in Old Village, Mount Pleasant here. They became clients this past year, came in, called this past year to listen to the radio show. And they said, Brandon, we want to retire in 6 months.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
I was like, all right, well, let's go. Let's, tighten up the belt here. Let's get to work. And so we took a look at their savings. They had saved about $1.2 million in their IRAs. Did a great job, right? Saved 1.2. They had about $400,000 in the bank. Okay. I was like, put a pin in that. Why is there 400 in the bank?
Right.
In the bank there, right? But then as we're going through it, and we get to the debt section, and I see all this debt over here, and it was about $200,000 left on the house. Yeah. And about $100,000 left on their vehicle. She has a nice Mercedes AMG. I was like, love it, love the car, but owed about $100,000 on that. Okay. And I was like, so we've got about $300,000 of debt over here, the house and the car. Anything else? And they're like, no, that's it. I was like, all right. I was like, when you guys go home, get out the checkbook. I want you guys to call, get a 14-day payoff balance on the house, get a payoff on that car. Pay those things off.
Really?
We've got the cash, right? We've got it right here. And they were like, I know we go back and forth. We were thinking, should we do it? But we like seeing that cash right there, right?
Yeah.
Everybody likes seeing a little bit of
Sure.
a big old fat, emergency fund sitting at the bank. But I was like, no, it's time, right?
But
If we're going to retire.
but in this case, you were telling them to pay off the mortgage debt as well.
Yes.
Did they have like a higher interest rate on their mortgage?
It was, I want to say, yes. I want to say it was around 5,
Okay. Got it.
5 or 6.
They're not one of these people that
kinda
refinanced in
new.
2001 where they have like the 2% rate. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
So it's kind of newer there. And so I said, let's pay that off. Now, Heather, you're probably getting at, okay, what if someone's got a really low interest rate
On their mortgage. Yeah.
Okay, on their mortgage? Then in that case, yeah, if it's like, I would say 3%, and under,
Yeah.
especially 3 points under 4, right? Because I even heard a commercial. I think rates are at like 4 in the 4s now, and we do expect that to continue to go down if they keep cutting rates and such. So if you've got anything north of that, then we need come into the office, right?
Okay.
This conversation here, you're probably thinking, okay, well, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I keep this mortgage
Right.
and throw it over here? Well, what if I'm making 20% a year in the markets, Brandon? Shouldn't I keep this mortgage? Shouldn't I, even if it's 5 or 6%, shouldn't I keep this money in the stock market? Right. So these are all things that I can't just give a blanket statement here on the radio.
Right. So for somebody listening who has a $200,000 left to pay off on their mortgage and they got $400,000 in the bank, don't run off and pay your mortgage because that might not be the right thing for you. We're talking specifically about this couple. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes. And so this couple here, so they did that. And so, now they're debt free, right? They paid that off. They've got that dignity that we've talked about, the standard of living where they're just like, that's all they have to pay for each month. Everything else is done and paid for in theirs. Okay. They also have 2 lots up in Awanda up there that they've put on the market here, and they've got bids. They're about to get $400,000 from that. So there you go. So now we've just replaced that money that they were like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
You're right. So now they're debt free, and we're able to put that money back. Now we'll of course deploy that. We'll try to get some nice rates of return and things like that if we want to stay mostly defensive. So there's some things we're going to be doing here on these next few steps. But that's what you've got to think about is I want us to start getting at, okay, if we've got a little bit of debt left over here and you're kind of debating, okay, what and when and how much, and I've got these assets over here, that's what our conversations can lead to. And what I want to offer right now, I haven't offered this very much, but what this is called my 5 steps to retirement. Okay. 5 steps to retirement. So there are 5 steps that we can talk through and walk through together that really build and it builds a framework to a confident retirement. Okay. Where you've got your protected income streams. You can see how and where that's coming from. We've reduced risk in the market. You know what your expenses are, right? You've actually got numbers to work with. You're not just kind of winging this thing. Okay. So my 5 steps to retirement really helps you take a look at all of these major areas and major decisions that you guys can then go home. You guys can talk about it. Do we like this direction here? Is there a piece of it that we don't like? And we massage what we're going to be doing moving forward. But this 5 steps to retirement is where I would love for a lot of people to pick up the phone and we kind of work through this together through maybe the first 2 meetings. Okay. So let me give you my phone number here, 843-890-2400. 843-890-2400. If you've saved $500,000 or more, you need this 5 steps to retirement because you've saved enough where we've got enough money to allocate for certain needs, certain desires, certain risks and exposures that you have here. And this will give you a really nice blueprint to move forward. And then we can make this your own, right? We can look at, okay, do you want a little more? Do you want to increase that income a little more? Or if you're debt free, maybe you don't need as much protected income, and then we might leave a little more for potential growth in the market. This is going to be yours. It's not like anybody else that you might know. Okay. So this 5 steps to retirement would be yours. If you call or text, you can text the words 5 steps and Tanya will reach back out to you. We do have 5 spots available each week. We open up, we leave those open for you. I would love for you to grab one of those. 843-890-2400.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth, LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. Market Guard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. Market Guard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.